So the real issue is, how does the core value show up in how I behave? If I say I'm a person of integrity, how does that manifest itself? If I say I respect people, do I put that on a plaque? But then disrespect people in my general conduct and attitude? Is about alignment and consistency between what I say I believe and how I behave.
Welcome to the People Matter podcast, where we shine a light on the professionals shaping the future of work in Jamaica and beyond. Powered by the Human Resource Management Association of Jamaica, this series brings you real stories, expert insights, and impactful conversations with leaders who are transforming workplaces, industries, and lives. I'm your host, Melissa Anderson, and today's conversation is one you don't want to miss. In today's world of work, where change is constant and trust is fragile, what sets great leaders apart isn't just performance, it's principles. Today's guest is Dr. Rohan Ambersley, a seasoned executive with over 2 decades of experience in sales, business development, and senior leadership. He's currently the Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer of one of Jamaica's leading corporate groups and holds a doctorate in Transformational Leadership focused on values-driven change. Also a pastor and nonprofit director, Dr. Ambersley brings a unique blend of faith, strategy, and purpose to everything he does, whether in the boardroom or the community. As such, this episode of People Matter explores what it really means to lead with values. Because when leadership is grounded in purpose, it doesn't just influence policies. It shapes culture, empowers people, and drives meaningful impact. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Dr. Rohan Ambersley.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here.
Now, a 2020 Deloitte Global Human Capital Trends report found that 79% of organizations believe fostering a sense of belonging is important, but only 13% feel ready to make it happen. This readiness gap shows that while most leaders talk the talk, few are prepared to walk the walk. From your experience, Dr. Ambersley, what does values-based leadership actually look like in practice? Not just in a mission statement, but in daily decision making.
Now, great question to start. So when we talk about values-based leadership, we're really talking about a philosophy of leadership, a style of leadership where there's a distinctive emphasis on principles.
Okay.
When there's an internalization of the core values of the organization and an alignment with the leader's core values. And a leader who is values-based and practice values-based leadership is very active in ensuring that there is consistency and alignment between what they believe, and how they demonstrate that in daily life, and how alignment is achieved among the team and for the organization. So the real issue is, how does the core value show up in how I behave? If I say I'm a person of integrity, how does that manifest itself? If I say I respect people, do I put that on a plaque? But then disrespect people in my general conduct and attitude? Is about alignment and consistency between what I say I believe and how I behave.
And that, I imagine, will allow buy-in, because if the leader says it, lives it, demonstrates it in every action, authentically, of course, then everyone else will align, buy into it, and also themselves conform.
Absolutely. And that's at the core of the idea of values-based leadership.
Right. Now, it's one thing to say you're people first. It's another thing to structure decision-making and culture around that principle. Rohan, how do you ensure your leadership style centers people, especially in high pressure or performance driven environments?
It's interesting that the podcast is called People Matter, because the truth is, people matter. And if that is truly believed, I believe it will impact how you behave. I share, in my journey, a portion of my life, I was a CEO of a particular organization. And one of the things that happened during COVID is that there was an opportunity obviously, to just cut people and say, COVID, don't blame me.
Right.
But when we did some analysis, and while that would have been the easier decision, having declared that we're people first,
Right.
having declared that people matter, it cannot just be, and again, don't get me wrong, I understand that that may have been necessary in some organizations.
Right.
But rather than be the first
The
option,
default.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had to evaluate
Yeah.
how do we ensure that the people we have declared that we care about,
Yeah.
we don't just discard them in a moment of challenge.
Right.
We're
That's
good,
it.
but now that it's COVID, there's the door.
Right.
We had to think long and hard
Right.
about how we would navigate it. And we were saying to people, let's work together and get through this rather than let's get rid of people so that we can get through this.
Right.
And what we're able to foster is a sense of commitment to the organization that helped very significantly in coming up with ideas that made going through COVID a lot easier.
Right.
And a lot more sensible. And again, that was guided by a sense of a clear value base, that helped us.
Right. And that is such a profound example, I think, using COVID because it was unprecedented times. Companies were trying to cut costs or contain costs, and you didn't know what was coming, ahead. So, of course, the default for some organizations was that posture.
Sure.
Let me, cut the people. But as the head of your organization, where certainly the metrics matter, the numbers matter, the business results matter, you're saying that while you hold that in high regard, it is through your people first that you're achieving those outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I want to be clear that it's not that the issue of retrenchment never comes up.
Right.
The point I'm making is that if you claim to have a certain value system,
Yeah.
which place people at the center, then your decision making should be guided accordingly.
that, right.
And in my experience, whenever people know that you care,
Yes.
they are more likely to care themselves.
Right.
If they have the feeling that, I'm just a means to an end, then they begin to act that way.
Right.
And there are natural consequences to that, where people do not have an emotional connection
Right.
with the business.
Right.
I find that leading becomes a lot more difficult.
Right.
One of the things that is studied a lot, or at least studied a lot by an organization called Gallup, is employee engagement.
Yes.
And I've seen some staggering numbers. In fact, the latest survey suggests that about 3 out of every 4 employees, over 75% of employees are disengaged.
Wow.
In,
Startling.
yeah, and when you talk about globally, the value of that represents about 9% of global GDP.
Wow.
Now, if you bring that down to the company level, my point is, if you have an engaged workforce, you can achieve so much more.
Right.
So it's not people or profit. It is profit through people. And indeed, if you have the philosophy where you can share profit with people as well, it makes it that much more powerful.
Right.
If you really cannot have success sustainably unless people are brought in.
Right.
And when you bring people in, as you spoke, values-based leadership is about buying, is about making people believe.
Yes.
And when people believe, they will go the lengths.
Right. So profit through people. May I borrow that on occasion?
Sure,
I love
sure.
it. What practical steps can leadership take to bridge the gap between stated values and daily workplace results and realities?
Yeah. So there are a couple of things that come to mind for me. One of the things about values is that people must live it.
Right.
People must breathe it and feel it.
Right.
So, for example, practically, it cannot not be constantly mentioned in meetings. It must be a critical part of the orientation process. It must be a part of the performance management metric.
Okay.
It must be a part of training.
Right.
People must be trained. When we come to a meeting and we're talking about decisions, people must hear you making reference to the core values.
Right.
When people are being evaluated, you must deliver the numbers, but I'm also going to ask you, how did you deliver the numbers? Because for a values-based leader, I want you to do well. So if you're a salesperson, make the number.
Right.
And if you are an engineer, be an outstanding engineer.
Right.
But if you leave in your wake all kind of harm and hurt, then you're not so much of a star, because our evaluation includes performance necessarily, but also includes principles.
Correct.
And therefore, we want to see you behaving a particular way. Not just saying you're a star and therefore you mistreat people.
Right.
Not just saying you're a star and therefore you do anything.
Yes.
You're a star because you uphold our values.
Right.
And we believe there's a direct relationship between delivery and also being a particular kind of person
Right.
that is consistent with our values in the organization.
So it's not just what people do. It's not just about getting the results by any means necessary. It's
Indeed.
how you behaved along the journey. And like you said, not creating conflicts, paraphrasing some of what you said, but building teams, right?
Absolutely.
And regard for each other, respect.
Indeed. What you do must be an outgrowth of who you are.
Right.
And we believe that there must be consistency in that.
Okay. Now, in one sentence, what's a value you believe every leader should lead with and why?
Respect.
Ah,
Yeah, I believe that persons must know,
yeah,
whatever their titles and wherever they are on the hierarchy, that that they're valued and that
right,
they're valuable.
right.
I believe that far too many times persons have a way of feeling like I respect you because you carry a title.
Yeah,
I see you in the big office and therefore I will respect you.
it's hierarchical. Yeah,
Yeah, but if I feel that you don't matter,
yeah,
I heard a story some time ago about the person who would wash the vehicle in the yard, was driving around the vehicle, and the person, somebody who doesn't know him, see him in the car and was talking to him because this must be a boss. And when they eventually recognized he was not the boss, started
treating him
treating him
differently.
differently. I believe that that's a problem, human interaction.
Yes, it
And I
is.
believe that whatever title you carry, whatever position you hold, you deserve respect.
Right,
And this is from the person at the ground floor to the person in the corner office.
right.
Everybody deserves respect.
I totally agree. Now, I want to ask you your definition of respect, but before you answer that, I want to share context with you. So, I remember one of my managing directors was from another country, and observing that as Jamaicans, we use the word respect a lot in our normal interaction. So, we say respect as a hail, as we say in Jamaica, as a greeting. And he was trying to understand why we use this word respect as a greeting and what respect, defining it for himself, because in his culture, it would have meant something different.
Sure.
But we say respect a lot in Jamaica.
Yeah.
It means outside of corporate spaces, respect at a minimum is something every Jamaican wants and needs. It's a need, right? That's
Sure.
fundamental to us
Sure.
as human beings. So if you were just to define respect, you gave me the hierarchical context.
Yeah.
But a generalized definition of respect and how as leaders we demonstrate it.
Yeah. Now, for me, I think I would simply use two words. I would say healthy regard. It's making sure that when you interact with somebody else, people know that I have a healthy regard for you.
Right.
I see you as a human being, and just that alone
Yes.
means that I should regard you.
Yes.
Just that your humanity is valuable.
Yes.
So that's it. Healthy regard.
I got two wonderful gems from you: profit through people and healthy regard as respect. Dr. Ambersley, before we wrap up, it's time for a little honesty behind the policy. I'm going to ask you to take a question from the bowl, read it for us, and give us your honest answer.
What's one thing about leadership nobody prepared you for? Interestingly, I think it goes back to the same conversation we're having about values. Because my upbringing as an individual meant that a lot of emphasis was placed on values.
Right.
So I grew up in a home, I grew up in my usual context emphasized honesty and integrity and
Right.
humility.
A Christian home, I would imagine, of course.
Yes, indeed. And in my leadership journey, there was a stark reminder that not everybody values what you value,
Oh, wow.
including things that you feel is just normal and worthy of general acceptance.
Right.
Why are we arguing about the need for honesty and
Yeah,
integrity
it
and
should be
humility?
place.
I've had some situations, including with other leaders and non-leaders, where people just kind of outright reject a certain value, where people do not feel that caring about people matter.
Right.
And you would be advised to behave differently, think about yourself. And you would be advised to, just not bother with the whole heap of values thing. Just where people will say, where people will raise things like, this is the thing to do.
Right.
Behaving like that and maintaining is not the right thing. To be honest, it came as a shocker in some respects, including, recognizing that, it's even your best practices, so-called best practice,
Yes.
will not always be seen as best practice.
Right.
And that has been difficult, because having worked a lot on building, a certain mindset and a certain approach to life, if somebody told me, when you come to senior leadership, you're going to be told that all that you've been told all your years, especially as a leader, we need leaders that are, somebody, you kind of discover it's not always so.
Right.
And it's not always embraced, and you have to get used to that.
Right.
You know,
Wow, that's a great story, but you have weathered it well and I think adapted, and you've demonstrated exceptional values-based leadership. So
thank you very
thank
much.
you for that.
I appreciate that.
And that's a wrap on season 1 of the People Matter podcast. Thank you to Dr. Rohan Ambersley for sharing such a powerful reminder that true leadership is rooted in purpose, integrity, and people. His insights challenge us to not just talk about values, but to live them. Thanks for tuning in to People Matter. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on socials, and join us next season as we continue exploring the voices shaping the future of work. Until then, keep leading with intention. Whether you're a new entrant into the working world or a seasoned professional, we hope these conversations sparked ideas, offered support, and reminded you that people truly do matter. Thank you for listening, sharing, and growing with us. Keep leading with purpose, stay people focused, and never stop learning. See you soon.